Hello and welcome to IUX's International Women's Day seminar, a webinar. This is a discussion on marriage and career, having it all. Is it truly possible to have it all? And we have with us six very established and prominent women in their fields, and we're going to be discussing this issue with them. Just a little bit about IUX before we start. IUX is IQRA University's continuous learning center. We provide continuous learning for people throughout their careers, whether you're preparing for intermediate or A-level exams, whether you're looking to continue your studies post your degree, or executive learning in mid-career. We provide it all, as well as cultural and educational events throughout the year. That is IUX. And today we are thrilled to have, as I say, with us a panel of esteemed women for International Women's Day. First up, we have Dr. Shazia Khan Shah. She is a physician and owner of the British Medical Practice. Dr. Khan Shah has a BSc in experimental pathology and MBBS, both from King's College London, specializing in internal and respiratory medicine. After marriage and 3 kids, she moved her family and medicine back to Pakistan, where she has set up the British Medical Practice in Karachi in partnership with fellow GPs from the UK. So welcome, Dr. Shazia Khan Shah. Hello.
Thank you for having me, and happy Women's Day, everybody.
Yes. Right, our next guest is Fatima Zubairi. She has been the HR director for Unilever Pakistan since 2018. Prior to that, she worked for several years as general manager of human resources at ICI Pakistan. She's a graduate of IBA and she is married with 2 daughters. Welcome, Fatima.
Thanks, George, and pleasure to be here, and happy Women's Day, everyone. And
Yes.
and for the men out there, who are our backbones.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our next guest is Kirat Sabir. She is a recent graduate of IQRA University and gave the valedictorian address at the university's convocation this year. She is a graduate in advertising and marketing. She spent parts of her youth in Sri Lanka before returning to Pakistan. She is unmarried, and we welcome her. Hi, Kirat.
Hi, George. Thank you so much for having me here, and happy Women's Day to everybody.
Great. Our next guest is Marine Kashif. She's an economic advisor for the US State Department, and she leads strategic commercial partnerships between the USA and Pakistan's public and private sector, working to enhance bilateral trade and investment. She heads up the country team for the US-Pakistan Women's Council, and prior to her current role, Marine enjoyed an extensive career in broadcast and electronic media. She is a passionate advocate for gender diversity and inclusiveness, and we are absolutely thrilled and delighted to have Marine with us. Hi, Marine. Welcome to our webinar.
Thank you so much, and thrilled to be here among such accomplished women panelists. Thanks, George. Great initiative.
And our next guest is Mariam Moeed Khan. She's a digital creator and influencer. Her content focuses on parenting and mum's wellness. Apart from being a digital creator, she's also a principal of a school and head of marketing at the academy and the IU school system. She is married with 2 children. Hello, Mariam. Is that getting you there? Sorry. Hello, Mariam.
Hello, everybody. Happy Women's Day. Thank you for having me here.
And our final guest, we have with us, I'm delighted to have with us Noreen Khan, who is the General Manager for Marketing and Communication at Dolman Malls. She's an experienced marketing and corporate communications practitioner, and she has been the country head for one of the largest integrated international agencies, and she's also led the internal and corporate communications for Standard Chartered Bank and Royal Bank of Scotland. Welcome, Noreen. Let's bring you in. Okay, this is it. We're all here. I am what's the phrase? The bone in the hadi or something. I feel like I'm out of misplaced somewhat. But anyway, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar.
Thank you for having
It's
us.
International Women's Day. And obviously, the theme of our talk today is on marriage and career, having it all. And I suppose my first question to you all is it possible to have it all? And or is it desirable to have it all? Who would like to go first?
I
Mary
Well,
looks like she's got.
Yeah, I'll need to kind of keep moving because of the light sensors.
all right. So I would say
You know,
that,
I think this goes to say a lot. So we as women we cannot be static in our lives. We have to be
yeah,
dynamic,
yeah,
no
you
matter,
need to
because
keep moving, huh?
absolutely there are all sorts of sensors around us. They sense when we're emotionally down. Uh, People sense in the family. They sense when marriage is literally on the rocks, or something, if you're not doing so well, or if your children are not doing as well as a community, trying to meet community standards. So we are constantly being judged. I think that is one factor that we as women need to kind of mitigate now, and
Mitigate now.
you know just try to avoid.
I think having it all is a bit of I think it's personally, I feel like it's peddling this myth, and I feel I don't want to sound negative because obviously we've got Kiran here who is just at the start of her life. And I think it is, we're brought up on this idea that if you work hard enough and you're good at school and you make all the right choices, you can have it all. With hard work, you can have it all.
Yeah,
However, what you realize as you progress through your life and your career is that that it's all dependent not just on your hard work and your ability, and it's so dependent on circumstances and people and individuals that are out of your control. And so no one works, lives, grows up in a vacuum. We need our communities. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village,
yeah.
the very same community, to help you flourish in your career as well, if you want to have a family life that's rewarding at the same time.
How important were female or male mentors to all of you in your careers as you developed them?
Well, I think I'm at the better position to answer these questions because I'm a sister of five brothers. And I have been grown up in a family where I have only seen men. So I think they play a very crucial role in your life. They promote you, but it really needs to take a man who has this kind of ability. So I think yes, it's definitely very much important to have such kind of males in your life who promotes you, because when they promote you, you actually try to have a kind of sensibility in yourself, and that makes you where you are. And I truly support my parents, my father, all the males in my family. So I think whatever I am because of them. So on this Women's Day, we don't have to forget them as well.
Yeah, I would like to add something here as well, that I I am who I am because of my father and my husband. And George knows my husband, and he knows how hardworking he is. And he was the one who pushed me to cross the boundaries and be who I am, where I am today. So yeah, I mean, they do play an important role.
Yes, I agree with that. I think that,
Yeah,
women, we get so much from, if you're fortunate enough to grow up with both parents, then, you get so much from your mother in terms of your manners, your mannerisms, maybe your spirituality, etc.
and
However,
all.
a daughter of a father who is, tells her she can do anything, that is the daughter who's going to be confident enough to succeed in
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah.
I
Um,
What
think we should.
about what about
Uh, George,
Sorry,
just
Karen.
adding to your comment on the mentors, I think while we speak about personal mentors from our households, we should never forget the mentors that we get at work.
Oh yeah,
Because
Yeah.
That's true.
I think like they say, behind the success of every man, there's a woman. I think
there's
it
a
goes the
woman.
other way around too. Uh,
Yeah,
and I think some of us, have been very, very lucky to have brilliant mentors at work who've kind of
true.
always been there to pull us up, give us that nudge, told us to lean in whenever we've not leaned in enough. So yeah, I think they're all around, and I think to be successful today, you sometimes need more than one mentor in your life. And I
True.
would always say choose selectively.
True.
Be choiceful, but make sure you pick the right people who can
Like the
be the right cards for you.
And
excellent.
Fatima, were your mentors, the mentors you're alluding to, were they female or were they male?
George, interestingly, all my mentors have been males.
Oh,
That's really interesting. From my brother to lots of line managers and line leaders that I've had, they've all been male, and it's sad to think when we say that the he for she mindset is not there. I think it's there in many of the people that we come across. And I think it's amazing how people are now seeing this sense of leaning in and being there for the other. So yes, to answer your question, all males actually.
Right.
I have something to add to
Yeah,
that as
sure.
well. That I was born and brought up in the UK, and I worked in the NHS, which is the National Health Service, for over 15 years. And I think that was the lack of female mentoring and female leadership was a huge problem for me, actually. It was very hard for me to see anybody that looked like me in a leadership position in the specialties that I'd chosen. And that was actually one of the reasons why I think I fell out of it. There were a lot of as Fatima says, there are lots of very helpful men out there who are willing to support you in your career and they say the right thing, but actually there's very little action that backs it up. Because they don't quite understand your circumstances as a working mother trying to also give your best in hospital medicine. That's all I can talk about because that's been my experience. And, we talk about the fact that these two countries are so different. Pakistan is so different from England, where, on the surface of it, ostensibly, there are no barriers, there are no societal norms that stop women going into work and progressing. However, something is going on because over half of medical graduates are female. And
yeah.
yet, in the leadership positions, when I was training, and this isn't a new thing, they've been over half of medical graduates have been female for over 20, 30 years now. But in leadership positions, we've still got only 30% of consultants are women. And so when you're looking up there, you think, I don't think I can do this because nobody else has managed. And that's why I fell out of hospital medicine, actually, after doing respiratory medicine and specializing and getting my MRCP. Then I went into family medicine because it was so difficult. So, I
Have
think
other people felt that? Or do other people feel that there's a glass ceiling in their careers and in their organizations that you can only reach so far, and then there is a lack of women in the top senior leadership roles?
George, we have been colleagues also in another life, and I can proudly say George was, a wonderful colleague, always cheerful, and knew all the right things to say when you're down at work. So those were some times. But having been in media for 10 years, I can proudly say that. Um, while I had some, as Fatma said, some really positive, men playing positive roles, but there were also a lot of learning experiences. While yes, women have a huge percentage in the media itself, but you'll see a very small percentage at the top leadership level, as Shazia experienced in her profession. I was looking at this stat, and globally, women just enjoy 24% of leadership positions. So it's not even Pakistan specific, it's really all across the
All
globe.
over the world.
Right? The problem is all over, right? And it's going to have an impact. I mean, how few women in leadership behave today, what path we chalk out for future generations. I feel, we've got such a huge responsibility.
Responsibility.
If I may add a slice of life, all right. So I've had a bit of a background with, say, multinationals working abroad and also in Pakistan. And what I'm doing currently is I'm working with a local group. It's a real estate group looking after malls. Now, I'll tell you, women in leadership, that role changes so drastically when you're talking about the global arena, when you're talking about a multinational, when you're talking about large scale organizations, to say grassroots levels where you're talking to, say, a shopkeeper or somebody managing a store, an outlet of sorts. I think it's all comes from within. The more we talk about it, the more we say that yes, we're doing the best we can. Reaching out for help should not, cannot be a stigma. So, be it a mentor, be it a support system in terms of a female or a male, I think the onus, a lot of awareness has come onto the woman of today who is a little more empowered and aware of that empowerment. She may not be assertive enough to take that empowerment, but yes, most certainly she's aware that that's something that's in her own right.
Well, some of you have girls, daughters, I should say, and Kirat, you're a young woman. Do you feel that that generation, the those who are coming into adulthood, they are more empowered than you were or your generation was?
Oh, yes.
So George can definitely take that one because I've got two girls. One just getting into the work life, and I think yes, they are far more empowered. A,
Powered.
they are far more aware. Yeah, and I think that's something that we didn't have in our days.
Aware
Uh,
of what? Aware of
they
what?
are a lot more aware of their choices. They are a lot more aware of their rights. They are a lot more aware of how things can work for them. They are a lot more aware on how to create equity and equality for themselves. So I think life is really changing. And even if we look around at Pakistan, and you said at the start of the session that we used to never really celebrate Women's Day 5 years
Women's Day.
back, and now
Back.
look at it. I mean, we've got we can't stop saying no to invitations on a daily basis. So I think girls are definitely more aware. There is more that needs to be done. You talked about, have we reached the glass ceiling? I think there's still more to be done to lift us off the floor, but definitely moving in the right direction. And I think now it's up to individuals like us. How can we create more equity and be better equity advocates to make sure that we give them the right opportunities? But clearly, more aware, more out there, more clearer
Empowered.
in their own thinking, and
Yeah.
doing what they want.
So, what is the most important challenge you think that women face today coming into the workspace?
Uh, I think it's really managing the bias and breaking the bias, if I would
Like
say so. And interestingly, that's a theme for this year as well. And we see some lovely campaigns around social media talking about breaking the bias.
the bias.
It Yeah, it is about unstereotyping. It is about going into unconventional areas where people feel that you can't go, and really I think it's all about breaking the bias, which is a big one. And I don't want to sound like just putting the blame out there. I think it's also about us not throwing in the towel too early. It's about every time
Yeah, true.
there's a challenge, how do you kind of look at it as an opportunity and brave it, rather than say, okay, this is where I'm going to stop and not do much. I think classic examples are, when we get married, we say, okay, now I can't work anymore because I'm
Yeah.
married, when I have my first kid. That's
Yeah.
again the time when we're there to hang the towel and say, I can't do enough. So I would say it's a combination of breaking the biases that exist and changing our own mindsets in terms of what we can do.
Does everyone else agree, or what are your thoughts?
Yes,
A
I think
hundred
it's,
percent.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because these days, when we're talking about the women, everybody is working these days. And I can see that women are being more educated rather than men. Back in time, when we used to keep our daughters at home, that they're not allowed to study further. But these days, I can see that even our parents are promoting us. Even I would definitely second with you that you just have mentioned that these days, the young girls, they are more empowered. But why? Because we have great mothers like you, we have great women who are educated, who are promoting us, who are making us worthwhile within the society. So I
Who are
think I
working at a better position that, we can look up to those positions, right?
definitely, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really important point, actually. How important for you guys is working in order to be a role model to your own children?
See, I'll tell you that I always love to influence people. And, since I'm a digital creator as well, so I have this thing that I have to influence the youth. And I feel proud in it that a lot of girls, a lot of working mothers are now working mothers, and they were earlier only housewives. Because of me. And this is because I have seen a lot of women working and progressing in life, not only in their professional lives, but also having a good marital life and raising their kids perfectly. So we had such role models, and now we become role models, so that, in future, more girls could come and sit in a position where we could have maybe more leadership opportunities for them.
So, what was the greatest hurdle that you all overcame into getting where you are in life? I mean, what were the biggest challenges? Was it the juggling of children? Was it dealing with those biases that you mentioned earlier? What were the big challenges you all faced as you rose up through the ranks?
George, is such a great
I
question.
think
I
being a
think,
woman is
yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
Sorry, Mary, yeah.
I was just saying it's such a great question, and think I'll take the liberty of speaking for each one of us here. I think the first greatest challenge was questioning the norms, right? Because
Yeah.
it hadn't been done. Anything, and wherever we all are in our careers in our various sectors, and very diverse ones. So we had to be the ones to question why. Why does it have to be like this? Why can I not do this? And why does anyone have to lay a boundary for me? It should be really me to do that for myself, right? So I think that's the first. And when it comes to juggling, of course, it's more about managing expectations. I think we
Yeah.
do that. We've got a lot of youth listening to this right now, and be it young graduates, be it young professionals. I think they need to know that they can ask questions, they can question the norms, they can raise their hand when they feel uncomfortable about a situation, and they can express their opinion. Back in the days, we were checked. Okay, don't speak too much, don't speak out of turn, or don't speak at all, if you're
But do you think
uncomfortable.
that is actually do you think that's actually the case, or is that only for nice middle class educated girls?
No,
What
I think.
about for, because I think the danger with this kind of discussion is that it can become very sort of class centric to a particular social economic class. And remember, obviously, a lot of the women on the front line, working women, are those going out. Can they challenge in the same way?
You
I think
know,
there are degrees. Yeah, please go
So,
ahead, Fat.
yeah, no, George, I was just saying that, it's now an economic need. And I think the minute, we can explain the importance, or I think the benefit of a double income household, or two people actually bearing the brunt of everything that we are seeing today in terms of inflation, etc. I think that would be a big driver, and you see this now in all the segments. Yeah, that the men find it very very difficult to make two ends meet, and there is an economic need for a double income household to come into play. And I think we are seeing this more and more again across all the different segments of the society, that perhaps that economic need is also now driving the mindset change. And again, we need more positive reinforcement around that. We need to have the environment more enabling, so that people feel comfortable to let their women out of the house and work. See, Pakistan is not a very safe place to get around on the streets. It's not an easy place to kind of make your own way. And again, I think it is dependent on us, organizations like us, policies that we can bring in into the public space, which will make this enablement easier for women and men to get the comfort. Because some of them just struggle to let them out of the house because of what the environment really offers. So I think economic self-sufficiency is the key driver behind women across all segments coming into the workplace.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
what I've
Mary?
observed it. Oh, sorry, Marion, you were saying
Did
something.
you want to add something, Mary? Hello?
I was just
Hello?
giving a thumbs up
Can everyone hear me?
to what Fatima just said.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
I just wanted to say.
So
Can
what
you
do
hear
you,
me?
what is the sort of needs? What needs to change for women in the next 10 years? I mean,
Yeah, we can hear
Fatima,
you.
can you hear me? Yeah, sorry. Fatima alluded to the fact that we're going to see probably a greater demand for dual income households. What are the other needs that change in the next 10 years for women? Hi, Noreen.
I think decision
Hi.
making. Can you hear me, George?
Decision making.
Yeah.
I can hear. Yeah.
Yeah, for women, I think it's important to know going forward. We all have daughters, that we have to give them the space to make their decisions. Good or bad, it's still their decision. They need to learn through trial and error method, and instead of being told. I have two children. My daughter is 18. She was, for instance, always enthusiastic about watching how models are portrayed in these magazines, by selecting, very carefully. She's doing some modeling assignments. She's very young, she's just 18, but I believe it's giving her the wings to understand, to see the environment, and to really make sense out of it her own way. And it's just empowered her in such a different way that she's now she guides me on certain things, on how to have meetings with the kind of groups that she meets, and what they mean, different messaging, which isn't so black and white. She's understanding the gray areas. So we need to really allow them to spread their wings, instead of cutting their wings and telling them, oh, you can only do this. Yes, Shazia.
Hi,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to say, just going back, sorry, because I think I'm having really bad connectivity issues. Sorry. That again, it's a thing. There's two different or three different Pakistans, depending on which section of society you're in, and those challenges
Okay,
and
we're having a
those
few
hurdles.
connectivity issues. Marine, can everyone
Is it me?
hear?
I can
Is
hear
everyone
Shazia
still
very
hearing
well.
that?
Yeah.
I hear you, Shazia.
Okay. Should I
Okay.
carry on?
So
Yeah.
let's start taking some comments because we've got a lot of comments from people. Uh, so we've got this comment. It becomes at the bottom level, encourage and treat the achievement of girls exactly how you treat boys, like they're very crucial and serious, not as if
हाँ
Han
हो गया
ho
तो
gaya,
हाँ हो
twice
गया तो
second
सही है
day.
नहीं हुआ तो कुछ भी
नहीं हुआ
नहीं.
तो भी कुछ नहीं. The fourth sentence against the journey of Pisces here.
Yeah,
Um,
That
I
is
would
we
like
true.
to
also
advise
have
the
break
youth that. Sorry, oh, you'll be reading the comments.
Yeah.
break the generational curse. Start with
Start with
yourself
yourself.
as a woman. Treat your own self, and then your sister, then your cousins, then your school. That's a really important point, actually. Generational curse. You know, we see in the dramas the Sas Bahu, and then the Bahu then becomes the Sas, and we see this sort of cycle of internalized misogyny that has occurred between women. And this, she's talking about breaking the cycle. Do you think, how do you think that can be achieved?
I think we as mothers can do that. I remember back in days when we were young, we used to have comparison between the cousins as well. So just as the comment says, that taunting other people, having an unbiased comparison between the two girls leads to jealousy, and then a lot of other negative notions. But we as mothers, and then raising good girls and then they becoming mothers, we can definitely we can definitely work on it, and we can change the entire um, dilemma.
But also, presumably, financial freedom is also at the heart of that. That the SARS becomes a SARS because she's so reliant upon the finances of her son, and so she's reluctant to to upset him, and so she's sort of constantly in struggle with the Bahu for his affection and his support. That he doesn't, that she's reliant upon him. Whereas if she's financially free, she doesn't have to be living with the husband, the son in the first place.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
think a
also the
really
balance. Yeah, Shazia?
I was just saying that I think the biggest and most toxic mindset we have here in Pakistan is this log kya kahenge issue. And I think that if that could just change in the next 10 years for the next generation,
That
if
would
we
be,
just
yeah.
shelve that, nobody should care what anybody else is doing. You know, don't tell your kids what are people going to say if you do XYZ, and just let them fulfill their dreams as long as they're safe and healthy and happy. Then, I think we will allow them to flourish. We will create a space where they're not bothered either about other people, and they can do what they like as well. Obviously, within reason. I'm not saying anarchy. I'm just saying we need to stop worrying about what other people will say about our children and about ourselves.
I think that's what Miss Myrene also said, that giving the giving the ability to make decisions to the girls and let them be free is all what we need to change in the next 10 years.
Absolutely, and I think it's all about balance.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, if anyone asks me, and if there's a lot of youth that calls me for guidance and coaching, but I personally believe that community service is something that is missing from our society, and it not just helps train women, young women professionals, but it also becomes sort of a source of networking for them, because generally in our entire life, no matter what situation you're in, what kind of household, what kind of income bracket your family belongs to, but community service, you can do so much, and you can still network, you can still interact, mingle, learn, and absorb so much from small lessons around you. There's just a lot of learning out there, and we're missing out on it because our academic system is not so pro social work, community development projects, and there's so much scope, so much can be done as corporates. uh, Fatima and Noreen will vouch for that. Corporates are doing so much now, they're realizing it, and community service and outreach programs and projects, they tend to teach so much to young professionals. The art, especially women, the art of mingling, the art of forming teams, and kind of behaving as team when a part of one. So we need to.
Yeah.
focus on
Uh,
community service.
we got some more messages. It's so good to see such inspirational ladies together.
Thank you.
Wow. What an impeccable experience. We have another
Oh,
one.
Wow.
Rubaya Afzal, raise your sons better,
that's
then
right.
they'll grow up to be better
Oh
brothers,
God,
sons.
yeah.
100% agree with this.
Yeah.
Definitely. I truly
Definitely.
second with that because I told you earlier that I have a family full of brothers. So this is what used to happen at my home, that whenever something wrong happened with my brother or they used to do any mistake, my mother used to say that you need to be a right man because this is what you will teach to your younger sister. So I totally agree with this because the problem with the society is that we encourages the mistakes of our males, our boys, our sons, and our brothers. But this is not the right thing because I think one of my friend used to say one thing. She's married. I'm not married, so I'm not having any idea with that. But she used to say one thing that I'm gonna say something to my son because he's the one who's going out and getting back to home. So he's the one who's learning bad things. So if you're going to come to home with bad habits, definitely the daughters or the sisters will learn accordingly.
I would just keep it gender free, and George say that we just need to make sure that we raise our kids with the right values. What we've just seen in our society, and I think one of the reasons for the degeneration that we see nowadays is the fact that what you are taught in your formative years, which is the values, what is your anchor in life, goes totally missing. So when we try and put balance in the kids, I think let's just start with values regardless of the gender, because that's something that takes you very further in life. And in a corporate world, we always talk about, does a person have the right values? And unfortunately, this is something you can't teach them at a very later stage of their life. This is something that they are brought up with. So one way we can really change the generations of the future, and even the way we are at the point of society we are right now, is to really bring into play the right values that we want to see in the generation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stop seeing gender. The way that we, in a multicultural society, we stop seeing race, right? So we need to
Absolutely.
stop seeing gender as well. That's a bit more difficult, though. I would argue that actually feminism is a much bigger civil rights issue now than race in many ways, because women in every section of society and in every ethnicity are held back. And we
So,
need to do that with the men. When men have to be shoulder to shoulder with us,
Yeah.
we can't do it without them.
what advice would you all give young women today as they enter the workspace? Things that you perhaps learned through hard knocks that you think they should know about, and any advice that you could give them?
Uh,
I, I could actually say resilience. Be resilient, push hard, never give up, never let someone talk you down. That's one of the things that never let yourself talk you down. More,
Yes.
Yes. Oh
That
my
is so
goodness.
true.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so true.
I mean, there's no such thing as the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect career woman, the perfect
very
professional.
true.
All of us, I think, we are juggling so many roles. I mean,
True.
we're privileged to be in Pakistan. We've got, in some capacity or the other, some form of domestic help.
Domestic help.
People are
Yeah.
doing it all in different stages of their life, in different geographies. People are doing it by themselves, for themselves. And we do have a certain privilege. And
Yeah.
juggling those issues, juggling the groceries, juggling the bills, juggling, the school trips, making sure the appraisals were done right, for even for your own self, having a
Yeah.
self worth. So you've got to keep on pushing hard, and you've got to tell yourself that no matter what stage of life you're at, you've got to put yourself first.
Mm,
That's a wonderful message.
Prioritize
100%.
yourself. You said
Yeah.
it all. And Miss Perrine has also shared one thing on the chat. You as a woman will be criticized anyway. So we might as well do what we are passionate about and accelerate. So I think this is all about it. This is the best advice, and they've summed it all very nicely.
Thank
And then
you.
we've got
Thank you.
We've
So I
got
personally,
someone.
yeah, no barriers. There shouldn't be any barriers. And like
Any
Noreen said, don't
barriers?
let
Yeah.
anyone talk you down,
Yeah.
right? It's all about values and following your heart.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I think, keep it. I always, going back to what you were saying about pushing hard, it does
Pushing
make me
hard.
think of, it does make me think of, I think you need to view your career progression kind of like childbirth, in the sense that, women have this, what I would see when I was doing gynecology was women would come in highly professional and well educated and in control in every sphere of their lives. And they would have a birth plan, they'd be encouraged to write this birth plan. And during labor, it wouldn't go according to that. They didn't want the drugs, and they'd be devastated if they had to have a cesarean to save their life or their baby's life, or etc. And I think in a similar fashion, you have to, for your career, for it to develop, have a clear goal, but don't worry too much about how you will get there. Don't worry about the journey, because it's going to have to be flexible, because there's going to be circumstances that you can't plan for now, whether it's meeting the life partner, having to move countries, having children, maybe not having children, death, bereavement, illness. All of these things happen in a normal person's life, and your career will be affected by that. And if you're not willing, if you don't have that give or that open mindset that, yeah, I will get there, but it won't be this route, it may be a bit more circuitous than that. If you're willing to accept that, you won't be plagued by self-doubt and feelings of failure and imposter syndrome and all of that. And I think that's very important. So just stay flexible.
And I think just
And I
to
would,
add
I
what
would
you
like to
said,
add, yeah, please go on.
sorry, yeah, I was just saying that, I think this is a generation when you can't give any excuses because there's so much opportunity available out there. I remember there was a time people would think, okay, I want to do a business, but how do I start? Look
Very true.
what internet has done. Yeah, you can reach out to anyone. You can start your business. You can reach out for small loans. As long as there's a will, there's a way. And only advice would be, don't be scared to take those baby steps which get you in that direction, because I think generally speaking the environment opportunity giving is a lot more enabling than it was earlier on. So if today one is not doing something or not taking those baby steps in the right direction, then I think it's a bit of a victim mindset that's coming into play, rather
Yeah.
than really grabbing whatever opportunity is available out there. So nothing should be holding us back. I think
Absolutely. Yeah.
there is a lot that one can do. So it's only your mind
We
which will
see
stop you now.
we see a lot of home-based
Okay, I would like
entrepreneurs
to add one
as
thing
well.
here. I
Yeah.
truly agree with each one of you. But since I'm still in the process of achieving my journey,
Yeah, go on.
yeah. Okay, so I was saying that as I'm still in this process and I'm still living my journey, so there's one thing I would like to add for all the women out there of my age, that it's very important that you need to choose the right circle of friends, because I'm like when I started my education, I was a very extrovert kind of a woman. I used to go out, I used to have meeting with my friends, but then I realized that all of these things will come to me eventually if I will become successful. So I decided to choose the right bunch of friends. I decided to be with certain people in my life who used to guide me well. And in this age, I have certain knowledges about the things because I chose to be with the right circle, with the right bunch of friends. So this is what I would like to advise to the young ladies, especially the women, because you guys are the future of our society. We are the one who has to raise the generation. We are the one who has to make our men feel proud of ourselves. So it's very much important that who you are being with. Choose the right bunch of friends. Be with people who encourages you, who motivates you, who promotes you, who make you feel worthwhile of your own existence. So this is what I would like to say, all the beautiful girls out there, because we want you to achieve whatever you want in life.
Great. We have a question from Mariam Fatima saying, did your feelings about work change after marriage or children? I feel getting married is like a 360-degree switch to life, and then having children is another. And what about how to cope with regrets from not having both career and personal life?
It's such a wonderful question,
What are your
Mariam.
thoughts on that? Did you
Yeah.
have good
I
feelings
think you should
on work and
you know,
career change after
yeah.
marriage and children?
I think we should take a break, give ourselves some break and space,
No?
the breathing space, and take each day as it comes. Right? There is no one perfect formula that this year, this is how
This
I
is
will
going
treat my children, my career, my domestic issues. So you've got to take
Oh, we're
each day as it
struggling a little
comes.
bit with.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear
I can
you.
hear you.
I think
Yes.
George has some connectivity issue.
It's all right.
I
Sometimes
think.
men struggle too, you see? So it's not always women.
I like that.
Yeah, it's my fault. It's my fault.
So we've got to learn not to hide
Sorry.
behind our genders, you see. So no matter what, you could be a woman, you could be a trans, you could be a man or whatever, but you cannot let your gender or your circumstances hold you back and keep your passions and aspirations bottled up. So just take each day as it comes. If,
As it comes.
for new mothers, I think there are more opportunities today when it comes to work from home. If not, you can speak up. It's your right. There's more awareness about labor compliance, in workplaces. If not, again, you have social media, right, to back you there. Uh, so a lot of things have changed in last 10 years, and a lot
And
of things are going to change in
going
the
to
next
change.
10.
True.
If
But
I could
she's
add a
right. The questioner
clarifying
the questioner has
question.
a oh, she has a point that obviously it is a 360-degree switch to life, and you have to accept that, and as we discussed before, remain flexible. But I would say don't throw away personal opportunities either, because then you will have regrets that you can't get. You'll be sitting in the corner office, but you may have regrets in your personal life, and you can't turn back time. The corner office will always be there.
Fatima, Marian sort of alluded to, laws and social media. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about sexual harassment because as HR director for Unilever, I'm sure you have quite strict policies on that. And I'm just wondering what has the law caught up in Pakistan to that? And if anybody is being exposed to that, what can they do and what should they do?
Yeah, actually, George, the law against sexual harassment got promulgated in 2010, and it is a very well written law. Interestingly, it is just not for women, it's for men and women. So, anyone being harassed at the workplace. And the great thing is that when this law did come out, it was widely circulated and broadcasted at all the organizations. There is a local ombudsman who sits at the chief minister's secretariat. So, in case there is a harassment case which is not being managed well within your workspace, you can even reach out to your provincial government or the federal government if you want to address any harassment at workplace. As a part of this law, we all have to institute an inquiry committee, which comprises of three senior leaders of the organization and one competent authority. It is very clear in terms of what is spelled out as harassment, what are your rights as harassment, how are cases managed, what are the disciplinary actions that can go into place in case there is any form of harassment, be it verbal or physical, harassment. And there is a formal and an informal way of recording any kind of harassment which happens. So a very well documented law, and like we say that all laws and policies are written very well, but it is up to us as individuals and
Yeah.
organizations to really enforce them and practice them in true letter and spirit. And I can safely say, for Unilever, we've got a very active business integrity committee, which kind of manages all the cases that come under the Harassment Act or which are reported. And many organizations that I connect with today are actually driving the sexual harassment law very, very well. Interestingly, I also want to add that the law, there is also a law around domestic violence. I don't know how many people are aware of it. Like I said, our laws are
Wow.
very well written. There is a law on domestic violence and protecting people against domestic violence. So last year, when COVID struck, we as an organization, we came up with our own domestic abuse policy, which is again both for men and women, so it is gender neutral. And as per that law and as per the policy, anyone unfortunately going through any kind of domestic violence, we give them facilitation in terms of medical help, in terms of extraditing them from their home and giving them, a place to stay for a period of time, as well as any kind of mental well-being assistance that they may require in terms of psychiatrists, etc., who would help them out in such situations.
That's
Again, it
impressive.
is backed by the law. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
impressive.
all have to educate ourselves more. And like I said, whatever is there in the law, just as there's a transgender law, there's persons with disability law, which tells us to have people with disabilities and transgenders at our workplace, all alluding to better inclusion at the workplace. And I think we just have to play our lion's share in making sure that our workplace is enabled in this direction.
Do you think multinationals are following these laws more? And do you have any data as to are there local companies who are also implementing these laws and enforcing them?
Very.
It's amazing that the local companies are catching up really, really fast. As we have more professional outfits coming into Pakistan, I see them embracing all these laws and policies in a much bigger way. Many of these are public listed companies also, so statutory needs become far more binding. And it's fantastic to see the progress which is being made in Pakistan. I think we just need to advocate and have more forums on how to help them, onboard them onto all these policies.
Fatma, I have a question for you actually. Do you think a point will come where big corporates like yours, for instance, and others, the top-notch FMCGs, and other sectors, would there come a time where they will become more cognizant of the fact that just the way you've implemented supply chain diversity, so you can kind of actually also implement supply chain empowerment and greater awareness with all the vendors and agencies that you work with, smaller firms that you work with, your partners, stakeholders, to make sure that all right, Unilever is diverse, has all laws in place, great HR policies, but what about vendors that you're dealing with in all these remote areas also? So I think that's where we need
Yeah,
help. And I think
absolutely.
for women,
Absolutely.
especially for to all the women who are listening to this, I think when they're making a career decision, they need to really check which the firm that they're looking to join or the company they're looking to partner with as an entrepreneur. So what are the HR implications?
Policies and
What are the policies like? I'm a survivor myself, right? And I'm so glad that I was able to manage that entire year of absolute craziness just because of great HR policies at my workplace. But how many women have that? How many women have insurance, health insurance, right? So people, the women go in the family way. What kind of support do they have from their colleagues and the whole HR
the
structure?
organization.
It's just
Yeah.
so important for women to consider before they make that big decision which firm to join, and they should ask this question upon time of appointment. Yeah.
Appointment.
Absolutely. And responsibly progressive organizations have already actually moved that journey from within their organization to the
Great.
ecosystem.
We just have some time for a few more comments. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, George.
Sorry, no, you please respond. Please respond.
No, I was just saying that in
We
response
can't see
to
it.
the question asked. I don't know if I'm audible.
Can you see me?
Yes, you are.
Can you hear me?
You are fucking.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Sorry,
was.
we're having a bit of connectivity issues. I think we're coming to the end of the hour, so I'm going to sort of just read out a few more quick questions. Um, uh, we have you're all truly an inspiration for many of us to always work hard towards our goals. Truly inspiring. Aruba and Sabah has written, great debate, guys. Just want to know what the influence people getting from the Pakistani social media, especially Pakistani dramas, which mostly sharing about negative relationships between families. Do you think that this is a worrying part in this generation to watching it and to get influenced by it?
Tolerance. I think we should all promote a lot of tolerance. It could be religious tolerance, cultural, ethnic, domestic. So I think tolerance is should be the word of the year.
I think there's a lot of
Great. Well,
negative characterizations of working women in dramas in Pakistan currently. From when I was growing up back in the UK, dramas like Tanhaiya, etc., were on TV, where these educated women took control
Yeah.
of their lives and they were the heroines, and it was great. And then now you've got this very educated, intelligent woman, but the ideal is this educated, intelligent woman who has no agency. She sits at
Bichari.
home and allows people to abuse her. And the Bichari woman who puts all her faith in God and doesn't take control of her life is the ideal. And the working woman who is out there in working with your husband, she wants to steal your husband, and she is not someone to be aspired to. And that's just such a negative portrayal, and we have to move away from that.
But I
Exactly.
think the screen time of those dramas have literally decreased. Like we are not watching it. Our mothers used to, and then our grandmothers used to, but we are not watching those dramas. And I hope that our
Because
daughters
we can't
don't.
relate to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So I
Very
think
good
that
point.
Great.
yeah, I think it would decrease with time, and I think the people who are making these dramas would also come to the real life association of women.
Great. Well, I'm going to sort of wind it up. Yeah, I'm going to just ask you all to your final thoughts for today's topic and debate, and any last sort of thoughts you want to say to the women out there on International Women's Day. I'm going to go along the panel, so I'll start with Fatima. Final thoughts.
So, George, one key message, I think we need to move away from equality to equity. And I think, very, very simply put, equality is everyone has a shoe to wear. Give me a shoe which fits me well. Yeah.
Very
So,
true.
what can you do, or what can we do in the policies, in the practices that we bring in, which is going to take away the social differences and the historical differences that we have created, and bring in gender equity into play rather than equality.
That's beautifully put. Wonderful. Kirat.
I think this is the time when we really need to believe in equality, but also the acceptance, because women are growing in this era and we really need to have our acceptance in the society. So this topic is like very nice because I will be the one who's going to get married. So I'm truly inspired with all of these wonderful women with me. Thank you so much, guys, for making me aware of the facts that how can I become worthwhile within the society. And I would really appreciate you, George, for bringing this topic in and to the IUX as well.
Marine.
I think to sum up what everybody feels here, I would just say Iqbal's, this verse, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है, and George is going to translate that.
No, I'm not. No,
So
I'm
it
not.
is all about your self-esteem and how you cannot allow anyone to attack that. You're responsible for your own self-esteem, and there are really no barriers to what you can do. That's what it means.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. And Noreen?
Well, I'd like to give a parting thought that I think every woman out there, would face some form of anxiety, some criticism. Sometimes it becomes overbearing. And at that point, the only advice I can give is just tell yourself, I'm doing the best I can. Time spent being guilty could be done,
I know.
could be used for more enjoyable things. Get over it, go beyond it. Give the same sort of consideration to yourself, the kind of care and nurturing that we as women give to others. Be it, we just organize everything so perfectly, be it homes, be it work. Organize yourselves better and tell yourselves that you're doing the best you can, and sooner or later you'll just start reaping the rewards for it.
Wonderful. Shazia?
Yeah, I think obviously all of these women are so inspiring and successful, and they're much wiser than I am. But I think you shouldn't view your hurdles as hurdles. I think your circumstances, your life. I think calling it hurdles or obstacles is a negative mindset. I think you have circumstances, you have challenges in life, and that's life, right? And you have to live with it, and you have to just keep that forward momentum at all times. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Sometimes the journey might seem a bit stagnated, it might seem a bit slow, but just keep moving towards your goal
Keep moving.
and enjoy the journey. Enjoy your life. You don't want to be 20 years from now sitting back thinking, where did all that time go? I was just moving, plowing forward, and I didn't stop to smell the roses. So do that. Enjoy life. We only get one life.
Wonderful.
So have your career.
Great. And finally, and last but not least, Mariam.
Okay, so everybody has said it all, but I would like to add one thing, which is not just for ourselves, but we should also help and boost other women as well. Like I see a lot of women working out there who've started their small businesses. So let's support them. Let's encourage them. Let's encourage other women as well to boost their morale. And lastly, I would want to add one more thing here. Prioritize your health as well. We being women, we do it all. We literally do it
So
all,
true.
but we forget our health. So we need to prioritize our health. And yeah, I think everybody would agree.
Yes, definitely.
It
Great
was
reminder.
lovely
Thank
being.
you.
It
Definitely.
Thank
was.
you.
It was lovely being here. Such inspiring women, and so much to learn from them. I think it was a great show.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the, sorry, 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 it's
Men are lagging today.
the connection. I think we're lagging slightly. But I just like to wrap up and just thank all the all the panelists. Now they're laughing. All the panelists today. Thank you, Fatima Zubairi. Thank you, Kirat Sabir. Thank you to Marine Kashif. Thank you to Noreen Khan. Thank you to Shazia Khan Shah. And thank you to Moin Khan. Mariam Moin Khan. Thank you,
He's taking my
everybody,
husband's
for all
name.
your time. It's been really interesting discussions. Left it on a, but thank you. It's been wonderful.
Guys, this is my
and,
email
and I wish
address.
you all a very happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye,
Have a great
everybody.
day.
That's
Back at work.
Khuda Hafiz.
Good
Allah
afternoon.
Hafiz.
So that was the International Women's Day event from IUX. If you want to find out more about IUX, please contact us and we can tell you all about our programs and certificates that we offer for any woman at any stage of their career, or man for that matter, whether you're preparing for IELTS or for intermediate or A levels, or whether you're a postgraduate or mid-career, we have programs and certificates for you. And on that, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this IUX debate and discussion on International Women's Day. Good Hafiz.